how can you parlay your passions into something that's going to unlock unique, authentic relationships? And if you focus on that, you can't lose.
I'm writing that down. How to parlay passions to unlock authenticity elsewhere. So that's, basically at the midpoint last year, I was on LinkedIn, and a guy that I follow said, "Hey, I have a project. I'm looking for 6 people to help me with this project." And I thought, hey, I don't know what the project is. I don't know if I'm qualified, but I raised my hand, and it was to help a gentleman who used to be one of the top sales executives at Oracle to write his book called Mega Deal Secrets, which he just announced on LinkedIn, this guy named Jamal Reimer. And so he put that out there, and I had the opportunity to go chapter by chapter, word by word through this process, which basically mirrored his masterclass. That's all it was there was a ghostwriter sitting in the back of one of his master classes where he showed people this process of how to kind of think differently about creating deals of size and magnitude that drive true transformation and change. And so, it gave me a different perspective, and it was probably the 20 of the best hours that I invested last year, just going and learning that process, learning about Jamal, learning about the different people that were using it in Sweden, in Russia, in Canada, in Los Angeles, like meeting this broad network of people that I would have never had the opportunity to, and seeing that kind of demystified the book writing process for me, because I saw it at its guts, at the baseline of the whole process. And I saw Jamal taking feedback from everyone and having us take a look and doing all this stuff. So it was fascinating to me. And then all of a sudden I go to a networking meeting, and the keynote speaker is somebody that guides people in writing books. And at the end of 2019, I'm coming up on 2 years from that time, but at the end of 2019, I had been seeing a lot of things on social media that people were, in a sense, doing cries for help, that they were saying, hey, mental health is a thing. We don't really have a solution. My company doesn't help this and this and this. And I said, hey, I had at that point, I had 11 years in sobriety. And so I thought, hey, there's this process that works, and it doesn't have to be for somebody that is a drug addict or an alcoholic. It can be for anybody. This process can assist anybody. And so I went through and tried to just level set and say, hey, here's what the 12 steps are and how it can work for you if you're struggling with those things, or if you're just a professional looking for a different way of thinking about your business and about your process and about your product, whatever. And so that, just putting all that content out there, going through all 12 steps, telling my story, it introduced me to people in about 45 different states, almost the entire US, 14 different countries. And I sent content, and I was talking to people for months after this. And so all of it just came from telling my story, just like you said, telling a story that I felt was unique to me. And so that is basically what I'm putting the guts of all of that, along with kind of the entirety of the things that have influenced me, both from my professional career, different philosophers and sociologists and faith and this, and all just amalgamating all of it into, here's a very concise step-by-step process for anybody to enter into if they want to ask themselves the question, what if it could be better? What if my life could be better? What if my relationship with my spouse could be better? What if my career could be better? And it will send you on this path to be able to go and get there, because that's my story. I had to ask that question. Instead of going down a very bad path, I had to ask that question of, what if I could go this way? And the last 13 years have been a reflection of that. And so I'm just trying to put it down on paper and make the unlucky 13 into a lucky 13 for somebody else.
That's inspiring as heck, Alex. And I got to say, it sparked a couple of things for me. Like, first off, thematically, say yes to opportunities. I know a lot of people always think, like, how do I take on one more thing? And honestly, I'm not good at that, because I say yes to just about everything. Just ask my wife. Like, I'm always saying yes to people asking me to do different things, coach, mentor. But it's because of the relationships that are a byproduct of that, frankly. It reminded me of the Richard Branson quote. If somebody offers you an amazing opportunity, but you're not sure you can do it, say yes, then learn how to do it later. And that's exactly what you did. And look at what it get. It turned into relationships globally. It turned into this powerful story, and it was an outlet. It was a way for you to parlay your passions into something that could be meaningful and influential and impactful for other people. That's what it's all about. The other thing, too, that I'd mention about that is, when I wrote that book years ago, I had no expectations of it, but I was noticed for a job. I made relationships there that led to my next role, made relationships there that led to my next role, that led me here. And then by creating processes that worked for me and spending time sharing best practices, learning, growing, and then being asked to do things, I got a lot of opportunity to stretch in my role. And it's given me everything I've ever wanted. So it's amazing what you can unlock by following that. But be a student. What I loved about what you highlighted, Alex, was you were looking to learn. You obsessively went out and you found out everything you could about what you wanted to do and what you wanted to grow into and become. And that's what it's all about. All the greats are students. You look at great athletes, they always talk about, how they were a student of the game. My favorite, Michael Jordan, you go back and you look at interviews with him and he's always talking about how he's a great student of basketball. And that's what it takes, is always be a student. The parameters are going to change. The variables are going to change. Nothing has changed more than it has in the last 20 months. Things have been flipped on their head. Be a student, understand the new variables, the things you can control, the parameters, the playing field, and you can still be excellent with the new tools and resources at your disposal. The last thing I would say on that topic, don't overthink it. Just produce, just create. It's so easy to spend so much time thinking about what you want to do. And I've had so many people say, like, I want to write a book, or I want to do a podcast, or I want to do this and that. Just start creating. I had no vision of even doing a podcast. People started calling when I did a podcast. So I was like, I might as well call it a podcast, right? Just start creating. This whole thing was born out of me just missing having conversations with people about sales and leadership. And then I realized I can do that anywhere with anyone in the world. And so I started doing it. So figure out what is it that you want to do. How can you parlay what you're passionate about and you love into something that can impact and influence and add unique value for others, and you win. Yeah,
I think if you're providing hope or help, then that's where it is. And people are always looking inside of the I don't know what the percentage is on LinkedIn, but I'd say that there's a strong percentage of people that are in sales on LinkedIn. Right. There's a high percentage of salespeople that are on the platform. And so, if you're out there saying, hey, I've got voices from everywhere talking about, what they do in their sales process, how they work, what the last, period of time has impacted them, what they're going to keep, what they're going to leave, all that kind of stuff. If you have that, ability to be able to put those voices in front of people, then that's exactly like you said. You just wanted to have conversations with people, but it was something that actually was able to provide some help and maybe a little bit of hope as well. And so that's awesome. So I applaud you for just having the fortitude to say, okay, well, I just wanted to have some conversations and it turned into something else, but I'm going to stick with it because people seem to be grabbing on to it. And it's not about me. So if people are getting some value out of this, then I'm going to keep going with it. And so that's awesome, man.
I love the fact that I get to meet people all over the world like you, people that are making a difference, influencing change and embracing, this world that we're in. Like, you saw opportunities and you seized them. And I think that's super inspiring. It's a message a lot of people need to hear.